Breaking news is shaking the entire love and hip-hop world. And if even a piece of what's being whispered turns out true, then this franchise might be heading straight into its biggest scandal yet. Multiple sources close to production have revealed that things got so out of control between Sierra Gates and Mendeecees Harris that the set was shut down mid-scene. No warning. No wrap-up, just chaos. What triggered it? Allegations, cameras, and a confrontation so intense it forced security to step in and producers to call legal mid-shoot. It all reportedly started with Sierra accusing Mendeecees of crossing a serious line, something that, by all accounts, he instantly denied. But it wasn't the denial that caused the scene to collapse. It was what came next. Sources say Mendeecees, known for being calm, controlled, and measured, suddenly snapped. He didn't yell at first. He didn't push or shove. But the shift in his energy was so heavy, furniture was moved, cast members scattered, and crew members froze. The cameras were still rolling when producers whispered to each other that this might not be usable. But by the time Mendeecees stood up and stormed out, mic thrown, words flying, it wasn't just unusable, it was explosive. People are now asking, did Sierra make a false claim to push buttons? Or had Mendeecees been holding something in for far too long, and this was just the moment it all cracked open? Everything was calm at first. The cast was relaxing backstage, sipping drinks, doing touch-ups, fixing their mics. But the second Sierra walked in late with her team visibly tense, you could feel the temperature change. She wasn't loud. She wasn't aggressive. She was still, too still. The kind of stillness that makes people nervous. Mendeecees was already seated, waiting to film a filler scene, just a light conversation about Atlanta events. Nothing serious. But when Sierra sat across from him and looked him dead in the eye, the shift was instant. The sound guy even paused, sensing something was about to go left. She adjusted her mic, leaned into the lens, and said flatly, "Are we rolling?" The cameraman nodded. And then, with no build-up, she dropped the bomb. "You made me uncomfortable last week, and I don't like how you speak to women." The words hit the room like a slap. Not just because of what was said, but how calm she was when she said it. Mendeecees, who had been relaxed in his seat, sat up straight. His eyes scanned the crew like he was asking silently, "Is this a setup? What are you talking about?" he asked, not yelling, but with that sharp edge that tells you the fuse just got lit. Sierra didn't flinch. "I'm talking about when you got in my face in the parking lot. The way you leaned in, pointed, don't talk to me like that again." One crew member let out a breath too loud. Another castmate, who wasn't even supposed to be in that scene, peeked around the curtain, and Mendeecees, he leaned forward, trying to hold his composure. "I never touched you," he said. "Don't play with that." His voice didn't rise, but his jaw clenched so tight, you could see the tension building. And then came Sierra's reply, the one that sent shockwaves through production. "I never said you did. But you made me feel like you could." That single line changed everything. A producer behind the camera started texting fast. Maybe legal, maybe a showrunner, maybe both. And though the cameras kept recording, no one was acting like this was just another scene. Mendeecees stood up slow, his eyes locked on Sierra. "You trying to ruin me?" he asked, quietly. "For a headline?" She didn't blink. "I'm telling my truth." That's when the room began to unravel. He started pacing, not screaming, not lashing out, just moving like a man trying to outrun a storm inside him. His voice dropped below the mic's pickup. One of the makeup artists backed away, brushes still in hand. Someone whispered, "Should we cut this?" But a producer said, "Keep going. This is the moment." Mendeecees suddenly stepped back into frame, raised his voice just enough to be heard. "You lying on me. For what, a camera moment? A storyline?" Sierra, arms crossed, replied, "You don't scare me." And that's when his calm officially cracked. "I'm not trying to scare you," he snapped. "I'm trying to understand what you gain by making me look like something I'm not." Then it got louder. A boom operator cursed as a mic cracked against the ground. Mendeecees had ripped off his mic pack. He grabbed a folding chair, not to throw, just to move, but the sound of it scraping across the floor made everything worse. It sounded violent, even if it wasn't. And then she walked in, Yandi Smith Harris. She wasn't scheduled to be there, but someone had called her. She stepped into the room, looked at Mendeecees, and knew instantly. Not anger, not aggression, just devastation. She went straight to him. "Come outside with me," she said softly, reaching for him. He pulled back, not aggressive, just quick, and muttered, "I'm not doing this. I'm not letting people play with my name." Sierra stood too. If the truth makes you mad, that's not my problem. That was it. Mendeecees turned to the crew and shouted, "Cut the scene. Cut the whole scene. I'm done with this fake-ass reality bull." Before he could finish, security stepped forward. Calm, firm, ready. "Just step outside, sir." His hands were trembling now, with fear, but with frustration. He nodded once. "Y'all gonna regret this." And then he walked out. Yandi followed in silence. The set, completely frozen, Sierra sat back down, staring at nothing. Her voice was soft, but clear. "I said what I said." But even she looked unsure now. Like she didn't expect the explosion to feel quite this real. Because something had cracked open. Something they might not be able to close. The crew moved fast. No glam, no fancy lighting, just Sierra and a raw camera set up. She sat down for a confessional, not to walk anything back, but to clarify. A producer asked her softly, "Can you just explain your side? Not spin it. Just speak your truth before it gets twisted." Sierra gave a half smirk. "So, damage control." The producer stayed calm. "No, just your voice. Your voice." Before the blogs grab it first, she paused, thought for a second, then nodded. "Fine, but I'm not apologizing." The red light went on, and Sierra stared straight into the camera. No filters, no edits, just her. "I didn't say Mendeecees hit me. I didn't say he laid hands on me. What I said was that the way he got in my space, leaned over me, spoke over my triggered something. It felt intimidating. It felt disrespectful. So I spoke on it. And if that offends anyone, I'm okay with that. Because I won't stay quiet just to keep the peace when I feel like something ain't right." The producer behind the camera gave a single nod and stopped the recording. Across the lot, Mendeecees was having what looked more like a breakdown than a meeting. He was seated across from a senior producer, fists clenched, jaw stiff. "If y'all air that scene, I can't come back from it," he said, his voice low. "Even if I sit here, say my part, even if Yandi stands by MIHE's already out there. The clip's moving. The narrative is running." The producer didn't argue. She couldn't. "We're figuring out next steps." "No," he cut her off. "You already figured it out. You gone, use it. You want the viral moment. You want the numbers. Don't lie like this is about truth. You know what this is," she said quietly. "It's reality TV. We show what happens." "No," he snapped, not yelling, but seething. "You show what sells. And now y'all about to sell me as a villain." His whole image, the one he fought to clean for years, was unraveling with one scene. One accusation. No matter how careful he'd been, no matter how far he'd come, it was slipping away because someone felt threatened on camera. Whether or not he did anything didn't seem to matter anymore. Meanwhile, Yandi was on the phone with legal, desperately searching for a clause, a sentence, something that could block defamatory edits. But the answers were cold, distant. "Unless it crosses a legal threshold, we can't stop the footage. And vague accusations don't cross that line. Not legally, but publicly." They explode by the end of the day. The entire Love and Hip Hop cast had heard. Phones were buzzing, DMS flying, producers fielding calls from panicked agents. Some cast members texted Yandi privately, others already prepping their own confessionals to get ahead of the storm. Lines were being drawn, and none of them had even seen the full footage. Back online, the reactions were brutal. Bambi posted a black screen that simply read, "Some people will do anything to be seen." Scrappy reposted a meme, "Every villain got a victim complex." Fans were spiraling into full-blown chaos. Some thought it was all fake, others called Sierra the next breakout villain. A few demanded VH1 cancel the whole show. And while the internet screamed, Mendeecees and Yandi sat in their dimly lit living room in complete silence. The kids were at a cousin's. The TV was off. Yandi scrolled through comments, blogs, clips, trying to keep up with the damage. Mendeecees didn't touch his phone. He just sat. "You want to go back and film?" she asked quietly. "Not like this," he said. "Not with them playing. With my name, then don't," she replied. "Walk away." He turned to her. "And let the lie win." "No," she whispered. "Let the truth breathe without cameras." But even she knew. It was too late for that. This wasn't just a personal attack anymore. It had gone viral. Headlines had already replaced nuance. And the moment was no longer his to control. Back at set, Sierra was laughing with her assistant like nothing had happened. Her confessional was already trending. Someone showed her a clip and she grinned. They eating it up. A crew member asked if she was nervous about backlash. Please, they'll forget next week. They always do. But even as she said it, a flicker crossed her face, because she knew this time was different. This time, someone didn't just get embarrassed, someone got broken. The next morning, it was like the set had been wiped clean. No call sheet, no transport, no texts, nothing. Unofficially, Love and Hip Hop was on pause. Not because of logistics. Because nobody knew how to move forward after what happened between Ciara and Mendeecees. Mendeecees hadn't slept. He'd stayed on the couch, turning over every moment in his head. He couldn't stop seeing the look on Ciara's face, hearing her words, seeing the silent stares from the crew. Like something in him had shifted, like he'd become something he wasn't. He'd worked so hard to bury that image, to clean up, to be better. For his kids, for Yandi, for himself. And now, one sentence had undone it all. When Yandi woke just after dawn, she said nothing at first, just sat beside him scrolling. Another leak, a visual this time, him ripping the mic off. No audio. Just a shaky caption. Rage is real. He didn't speak. He just walked to the kitchen. They're spinning it, she said softly. Old scenes. Old interviews. They're making it a pattern. It don't matter what I say, now, he replied. They've already decided. But Yandi wasn't giving up. She started making calls to bloggers, to podcast hosts, to influencers who still respected truth over clicks. She lined up a neutral interview. No scripts. Number, edits, just Mendeecees and a mic. He didn't agree to it because he needed fans to believe him. He agreed because he needed his kids to see that he didn't stay silent when someone lied. The podcast was raw. He said, people don't get what it's like to be accused on camera. They don't see what it does to you. They see the drama, the clip, the meme, but they don't see the damage. The families, the history, the effort. One sentence can erase all that, and even without proof, people believe it. The interview hit. Some fans called it PR spin. Others said he sounded genuine. But the tone online began to shift. For the first time, people wanted the whole story, not just the viral soundbite. And then it got worse. For Ciara, because buried deep in the audio files, a backup mic had caught a clean recording. Every word, every pause, the smirk, the setup, the producers heard it. And suddenly, things didn't feel so black and white. The network debated what to do. One clip started leaking, Ciara saying, "You made me feel like you could," followed by background laughter. It was short, but enough. The backlash was immediate. Comments flooded in. She played that man. This is why real victims aren't taken seriously. She weaponized fear. Yandi didn't gloat. She didn't say "I told you so." She just looked at Mendeecees and said, "This ain't over. But you're not alone." He nodded, but he didn't smile, because even if the truth came out, the damage had been done. The scar had formed, and the silence that followed his walk-off set would always echo louder than the footage. By week's end, producers announced filming would resume under new rules, more security, tighter review, separate confessionals. But whether Ciara or Mendeecees would even agree to return, that was the big unknown. Because something broke that day, and it wasn't just a mic, it was trust, it was reality, it was the line between drama and destruction, and now, the whole cast was walking on eggshells. Producers were scrambling, and fans, they were glued to every update, every leak, every clip. So now we ask you, do you think Ciara crossed the line? Was Mendeecees right to react the way he did? Should the producers have stepped in sooner? Or is this just the cost of reality TV? Fame? Drop your thoughts below. Don't hold back. And if you're locked into this story like we are, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because, over here, the cameras may stop rolling, but the drama, it never ends.